For introduction, let's start with a brief overview on the GDV and the German market. After this, I'd like to provide you with information about the status of the IDD implementation in Germany and across the EU. And finally, I picked out two specific questions of the IDD implementation which might be interesting for you. The IPID, I've heard you discuss today on the IPID as well. And if we still have enough time for it, the continuous professional development of insurance intermediaries. So let's start with some quick data on the GDV. The GDV is the German Insurance Association. It's the federation of the private insurers in Germany. We are based in Berlin and we have a European head office in Brussels. It's about 456 members companies offering coverage through 431 million insurance contracts. The German insurance industry provides employment for 5,224 persons, either as employees with insurers and in the intermediation business or as self-employed insurance intermediaries and advisors. The German insurance industry holds an investment portfolio about 1,509 billion euros. We identify themes and interests of primary insurers and reinsurers in Germany and conduct positions, shaping opinions, as well as providing services. In Germany, distribution is conducted in the following different channels. We distinguish between insurance mediation and insurance advice. Insurance mediation can be provided in direct sales, for example, through call centers or insurance portals or via intermediaries. Or in terms of intermediaries, we subsume employees of the insurance undertakings as well as agents and insurance brokers. So I've heard most of the people here are brokers. Is that right? Yeah? Okay. So insurance advisors are still a phenomenon not to be seen often, as we will see on the next slide. It's the advisors on the right. So in a total, we have 211,000 registered intermediaries and advisors, and there are only 317 registered insurers and advisors. So you can see the clear majority lies within the tied insurance agents, and brokers are second runners up. So you can see brokers are important for us in Germany. So I will show you some more details on the status of the German and European IDD transposition. In Germany, the rules on sales-related activities can be found in a wide range of laws and regulations, as you can see on the slide. We are nearly final with the IDD transposition. We implemented the IDD one-on-one. Most of the IDD requirements were adopted word by word. The IDD implementation law is in force since the 23rd of February, irrespective of the delay on European level. So we are running in the system right now. But there are still tasks to be done. For example, on level 2, they're still missing the Insurance Mediation Act, which includes the implementation of the 15 hours continuous training obligation for intermediaries. And on level 3, we're supposed to get further guidelines from our national competent authority, BaFin. So we still have tasks to be done. In the course of the implementation, we got a little gold plating, which wasn't caused by the IDD itself. Moreover, it was more like a free rider of the implementation. For example, we got some new obligations regarding advice and information for group insurance contracts for residual debt insurance. So policyholders will have to be informed about their rights of withdrawal 1 week after the sales situation. That's just one example for the national gold plating. But let's have a look on the other EU member states. The European Commission provides information about the IDD transposition into national law on its website. So I made a screenshot of this. As you can see, it is not really up to date. So on the webpage of the Commission, you can see, for example, the transposition deadline is the old one. The latest information on this page was that Estonia is the only member state which implemented the IDD finally. So according to our information, Germany, Hungary, Estonia, Poland and Slovakia already implemented the IDD into the national law. In Germany, Hungary, Estonia, this amendment enters into force on the 23rd of February, irrespective of any delay on the European level. As far as we know, in Poland, the act will enter into force on the 1st of October, and also the government of the UK will delay the transposition of the IDD into the UK law. Maybe we have attendees here from these countries who can confirm my information? When nobody says anything, I think it must be right. Yeah, one of the big issues is the cross-border business as well for the insurance undertakings as for the brokers. So we represent the insurance undertakings, and our member companies came over to us and asked us about the status of the IDD implementation across the European countries. So we are always interested to identify areas where member states go beyond the one-on-one implementation of the directive, and we also try to figure out where there's some gold plating. So we try to support our member companies to provide cross-border business. Maybe it's interesting for you as brokers as well. So I heard that on the panel right before the break. That you have in mind that brokers want to sell products and services across the EU and not only in your own state, and for that reason it's always good to know which provisions you have in the other countries. But let's come to some special topics of the IDD implementation. I've heard you had a discussion on the IPID. The IPID in Germany, such a product information sheet already existed since 2008, so it's nothing new for us. But we have had to adjust it due to the IDD requirements. One of the most discussed questions in Germany was if the IPID has to be handed out to customers or consumers. It's only a little playing word, but a big difference between. So the German regulation stipulates that the IPID will only have to be handed out to consumers. For whom there is a clear definition in the German civil law. So if the policyholder is a consumer, the IPID has to be handed out. This is also the fault if you have standard mandatory policies such as MTPL. So I heard that you had a discussion on this. In Germany, it's usual to hand the IPID out if the consumer, if the policyholder is a consumer. For non-consumers, brokers are allowed to provide a cover note without handing out the IPID. In our understanding as GDV, it is the same for tailor-made products, because here the manufacturer of the product isn't able to provide a standardized information, so you made it individual, tailor-made, so you can't give him a standardized information sheet. So we, as the GDV, as an association, provide our members with various model insurance terms, and based on these we provide a sample IPID for our members. As you can see on the right there, the blue one, this is the German sample IPID, and you have to bring it to every consumer, not to every customer. So just to make a sample, if you have a freelancer, he will not fall under the definition consumer, so you don't have to hand out the IPID to a freelancer. Okay, and then we had specific questions on the second topic, continuous professional development, CPD, of insurance intermediaries. Also there, even before the IDD provisions, the German industry actively supported professional training by an own initiative which is called Well Advised. So this own initiative was made by the German insurance industry without being obliged by law. These standards of this initiative is voluntary, go even beyond the training requirements of the European directive. So the Well Advised initiative recommends 30 hours training for each year, not only 15. So yeah, that is a success story. So let me show you how the system of advice is working. It's only one opinion, but not the only one to prove the continuous training. We try to credit all trainings that increase consulting capacities. Previously, we counted in credit points. Since the IDD transposition, we counted in training hours. These training hours are documented. Let's show it. These training hours are documented in a central database with individual accounts for each intermediary, and continuous professional development is made transparent through a 1- and a 5-year certificate. So as you can see on the slide, former we counted it in credit points. One lesson with 45 minutes was 1 credit point, and yeah, we tried to develop 200 credit points over 5 years. And since the IDD transposition, we switched the system into hours so that we can also show the 15 and 30 hours. And now you can get a 5-year certificate for 200 credit points and 15 hours in 2018. How does the system work? Intermediaries attend the training at the training institute or insurance company. Then the institute report the training hours into a central database, and the continuous development and insurance expertise can be presented not only to the customer but also to the responsible bodies for registration through this certificate every year or every 5 years. Yeah, the development of the participation number is a success story. As you can see here, we opened the first accounts in April 2014, and right now more than every second intermediary in Germany takes part in the voluntary initiative. So in the end of March we have had nearly 140,000 active accounts on the Well Advised database, and since 2014 moreover than 15 million credit points were documented, which corresponds to a value of about 11.9 million hours of education. So it's voluntary, just to say it again. It's not the only way to show that you do training, but it's a good way. So I think that's a positive impression of the German market and brings me to the end of my presentation. And now I'm happy to answer your questions.